and snap your fingers, then you lean back. All out of state, on the day they never seen that. Ain't back, throw and snap your fingers, then you lean back.
Welcome to Viti Vibes. This is your very own show which caters towards Fijian youth. Unfortunately, Pranay can't be here with us today, so I'm going to be your host. We are broadcasting from the traditional unceded territories of Kwantlen, Squamish, Silvertooth, and Musqueam nations. Pink Shirt Day was yesterday on February 23rd. This is a day in recognition of Anti-Bullying Day. Bullying needs to stop. This year's theme was to lift each other up. Hope you were able to wear a pink shirt yesterday, and you can do it every day to say no to bullying. In 2021, 2,224 people died in BC due to illicit drugs or overdose. The highest number of deaths was in Fraser Health, and the second highest was in Coastal Health. These were mainly people between the ages of 30 to 59, and mostly men. Always have a conversation with your children and talk about the stats and drug consumption. Now we have Shannon Permal, our director, with this week's guest. Let's hear her.
Hello, and welcome back to Viti Vibes TV. I'm your director and host, Shannon Permal, and thanks for sticking around with us yet another week. This week, I'm joined by two of our lovely co-hosts, Shivangi Naiker and Rebecca Singh. And today, we're actually going to be talking a little bit more about this show and about being first-generation kids here in Canada. This is something that I don't think we've kind of touched on. We kind of do throughout the episodes. But really, this episode is inspired by all our lovely audience members that are older than us and are watching our show. Shout out to you guys. But you know what? Like, I've heard some funny things. Like, we always get feedback and stuff like that. And I've heard some great things, and I've also heard some really funny things. So this is one of the funnier things. So I've had a couple people come up to me, right? And so basically, they're much older, right? Like middle-aged to like older, like our elders, sort of senior age. And so what we do on this show, we kind of talk about our like issues, youth issues kind of happening in our community. So I ended up getting a comment, or someone was telling me that like, I saw these girls and like this guy, us, right? I saw these girls and they were like watching, I was watching them on TV. It was this one show, it was like something about Fiji, Vitis, and something like that, right? And then they proceed to say, yeah, like, hum soche tha, like, kuch Fiji baare mein baat kari. So, for English translation, like, I thought it was going to be something related to Fiji, and they're going to tell us about Fiji and all that sort of stuff. And then they're like, just like sitting here laughing at each other. And clearly that's what we do, right? That's just what we end up doing. But I found that so funny, but it's like, where's the line? So I can't really be mad at it. And so I think this is a great opportunity for us to kind of talk about like what we kind of do. So what I kind of think is like, for the people that don't understand what we kind of do, we're obviously born here, first generation immigrants. Our parents all were from Fiji, I assume, right? Yeah. Even my parents, both of them were from Fiji, ended up immigrating over here to Canada. I was born here, and yeah, now I live this life. I didn't sign up for it. They ended up immigrating. I'm just here. But that being said, there's a lot of things we go through here that are much more different than what they have went through at home. And the mindset, the ideologies, the thought process, everything is a lot different. And so today, that's kind of what we're talking about, like things our parents or our Fijian community or older community just won't understand or have a problem understanding, struggle with. That's what we'll say. So one of those things, like that's kind of this backstory of where this episode's kind of inspired by. Actually, so I want to kind of ask you guys, like, what are some of your things, like, just right off the top of your head that were, like, you think, yeah, like, my Fijian parents or, like, my Fijian family, like, they just don't get it, like, being, like, that, because I'm born here, like, they just don't get it.
I think for me, like, because I have, like, social justice and all that this semester, so when I talk about that, oh, no, that's just BS. No, that doesn't matter. Why are people being like that? And I'm like, I sit there and try to explain it, and it's like, I give up. I'm like, I can't get past them.
Yeah.
Like, I can't get that idea in their head from my point of view, so I just give up.
It's like hitting your head against a brick wall.
Yep.
That's how our parents probably feel about us in like a lot of ways too. But I totally agree with you on that one. Social justice issues, like, they're just like, oh, like, why is that even a thing?
Yeah.
Like, just get over it. What do you mean get over it? Like, the thing with social justice issues, I think our parents don't get it because they're in like survival mode.
Yeah.
I'm obviously no expert here, so this is all like just everything we talk about on this show is purely like our own knowledge, experiences, thought process, all that good stuff. But I think in regards to that, because our parents being from Fiji and coming here, they were just always on constant survival mode. Having to like navigate this new country, learning its system, and trying to just survive, right? And so now that they've been able to survive and like have offspring, aka us, like now we're here, we're in a position where they're like a lot of our families are now like middle class citizens of this country, and we've been able to kind of comfortably settle and like we've had to learn to grow up here. So we have the luxury of being able to focus on more than just surviving. Obviously, it's different for everybody's case. Family issues and all that sort of stuff. There's always different factors that go into like the way we think of things. But yeah, I definitely think that's also a reason why people like our parents will never understand social justice issues or why we're so passionate about things. But it's like, but if it happens to their community, then it's a different thing, right? It's like, why is this happening to us? And that whole different other can of worms that I'll open another day probably. But Shivangni, I want to get to you. What do you think?
For me, it was like more like transitioning from being a little kid to a teenager, like as a girl especially, and like having to go through that high school experience where you have to like and plus like body changes too. Sometimes I feel like my mom wouldn't really understand that like how high school is a little hard, especially for a girl trying to fit in. It is a little hard for like normal people to like fit into, and I feel like some parents don't understand that like struggle kids like teens have to go through just to fit in, and then because of that they end up in the wrong crowd, and then they just blame the kid instead of like sitting there and understanding, you know?
Yeah, I made a list today, like of things that like I just thought of like on the top of my head before we started recording, and like one of the things that you said is like school, right? Yeah. And something that I think parents, or not parents just exclusively, I mean like people like not being first generation born here, right? Like they weren't born here, so they don't understand the experiences that we have growing up here. We have our different set of struggles. Obviously, like our parents, they had their set of struggles that we'll never understand, right? But then they also don't have the struggles that we have today. Like in so many other ways, like I want a disclaimer here, like we are very privileged to be here and like have the luxuries that we do have that our parents may not have had back home, right? But at the same time, there's so many things that we have to do for ourselves and learn and navigate life kind of on our own. And I think that's one of the things that I had on my list too. Like we had to figure this out like for ourselves. Like me personally, like I didn't have too many older people that were like born here, like families, friends, cousins, that sort of stuff. So it's like you had to literally learn like, oh, how to go through like life here, right? Your family, like I feel like my parents, like obviously they are just trying to figure out like to live, and I'm just here trying to figure out, okay, how do I like do that, like, but also do everything that they expect of me too, right? And that's just a whole different struggle. But like you said, one of the other things on my list, I'll make a round trip back to what I was starting to talk about, is the education system. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but like it's just always so hard to like I feel like I'm always hitting heads with like my elders about the education system here versus back home, because a lot like academics obviously back in Fiji is like super competitive, super strict. Like you would see like everybody's like they're always competing to get their faces in the newspaper, you know what I mean? Like for the highest grades, like 100s across the board, right? And they're trying to skip grades and all this sort of stuff. You come here and obviously like academics is still super competitive here, but there's one thing, there's different subjects in school, like you said, right? Yeah. Social justice, sociology, anthropology, psychology. Like these are new topics that they didn't have back there. It's like what, math, English, social study, like that sort of stuff, right? And it's like they just focused on that, and that's real academics to them, right? versus like here, like there's so many different branches of school, like school studying topics, and that's something like I feel like I always struggle to like explain, especially like because I have a psychology degree, so and like also a sociology certificate, and it's just like trying to explain what those are. It's like, how do you explain to your grandparents or your parents like what a psychology degree is or what psychology is, right? Like, if you like, how would you explain it in Hindi, like to your grandparents? Because I know you probably would have a better way of like trying to explain it, better chance of explaining it than I would, because I could never.
For me, because I did take a psychology class in high school, and it was like whenever I told my nana, well, I'm taking psychology homework, they were like, what is psychology? What is it? I was like, हम हो सकता है दिमाग पढ़े, अब दिमाग पढ़ेगा, हम counseling करता है सबके ना, and he's like, अच्छा तुम counselor बनेगा. I was like,
no, and see that's the thing. It's like like the easiest way to explain it is like तुम counselor के जनता like उन पे काम कौन चाहिए, and then
same
it's
thing,
like,
right? Yeah.
but it's like that's not true though. Like obviously counselors are like a big thing for psychology, whatever. Like, but psychology is so much more than that. There's also the research aspect.
Yeah.
How do you explain forensics now? Like, you know what I mean? Because that's what I was trying to do for the longest time, and God, like, I could not. I just kind of gave up at this point. But it's so funny, and like back to what I started to talk about, school, talking about like how the education systems are so different, and school here versus back home for them probably. I feel like school here is more than academics. There's also your volunteer work. You gotta focus on becoming, or like athletics. I feel like for some people that's also plays a big role in their schools too. Just having like a good like community repertoire, and like having all like becoming a well-rounded student, not just academically. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I agree. I feel like, because like whenever I talk about like all my subjects to my mom, like if I talk about foods, yeah, we have like home ec, we did this, we did that, and I'm like, but it's different here, you know? And it's just like, it never works out. I don't know. I've given up at some point just trying to talk to them. I don't even talk to my dad about them. I'm like, I have this class. Okay. You won't understand.
As long as you're passing the class, you're good, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, it was like high school was a little different. Like my mom actually understood some subjects, but then I'll just go tell my brother half the time, even though he won't care. But like I'll still tell him either way. But now like I'm in college and I'm telling you like my nana, nani, like everybody, I'm taking sports science, you know, and they'll be like, when did sports have science to it? And I'm like, that's what I'm trying to learn. That's why I'm taking sports science. And then my mom's like, then why are you taking criminology? I was like, because for a teacher, you need to have a major and a minor. So for me to transfer into another university, like they have to look at the requirement for it. And she's like, so you're not going into law, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not going into law. It's just one course I need to take. And then when I tell them about, I'm taking nutrition, I'm taking like, you know, sports and leisure and stuff like that, my mom would be like, so are you going to be like, are you just going to taking it just because you want to go play sports? Or are you actually going to go take teaching? I was like, no, it's part of teaching. I was like, then what do you think? The PE teachers need to know all this. And they're like, I didn't know. And then I'll just walk away. So I'm like, okay, I'll just won't explain anymore.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I totally feel that struggle. Yeah, having to explain like why I have to take a philosophy class, what is philosophy, and like, oh my god, it's just... But this is what happens when like we're lucky to have like all these things available to us. We're able to learn new things that didn't quite exist, I guess, for them. Yeah, it's definitely different. I think even like it just reminds me of like my childhood, me having to like ask my mom like even like math questions, like helpful in math, and then she'll be like, I didn't learn this stuff. Like we learn all different things here than back there, right? And it's just like nobody, people just won't understand. One other thing that I had on my list for like things that immigrant parents or family members don't understand about our first generation experience is survivor guilt and what else? The constant self-doubt that we have for ourselves. So basically, I actually pulled this up. According to a Harvard study, imposter syndrome is significantly higher in ethnic minorities. So I was surprised when I found this out when I was looking into it. But at the same time, I'm not surprised too, because I feel like us living here, I feel very privileged. I feel like I can do anything I could, like take any opportunity I want in this country, right? But then when it comes down to it, I just always like, I'm self-doubting, like, is this really like good for me? Is this what my family would want? They really come all the way to this country to do this, right? Or like have me do this. Like, am I just gonna disappoint my whole community, my family, be like the bestie of the like bring shame on my family and all that, right? I don't know, how do you guys feel about that? Do you have like that kind of self-doubt, or feel like, oh, my parents had it so hard that like anytime that I have any real success here, like you don't feel like you deserve it?
I'd say for myself, yeah. Like, especially with like coming so far from with soccer.
Yeah.
Like, I know soccer's a pretty big thing. Like, soccer and rugby within our community, it's huge.
Yeah.
But it's like being a girl playing soccer, coaching and stuff like that. I feel like whenever I get something, it's like, is it even enough? Like, will it make them proud, or like, do I still have to continue to do more? Like, obviously, I'm gonna push myself to do more.
Of
but
course.
like, is that still enough? Like, my accomplishments itself, like what I have for my age right now, like, is it something that like, oh my God, she accomplished that at a young age, or like, you know?
Is it just, yeah. I totally feel you on that too, because I feel like, for me personally, like I had that same sort of thing where I'd be getting all these awards, but I'm like, am I actually like bringing anything, like any feeling of like, yes, this is like what we're so proud of her kind of thing. And like every time, like, I will admit I've had moments of imposter syndrome, where it's like I win an award, or like I got published in a new magazine or something like that, and like people are like know of me and stuff, but then it's like I kind of sit back and it's like, I don't feel like I deserve it. Like I honestly don't think I was enough for it. Like I didn't work so hard myself for it, right? I've definitely had my moments, but I totally feel you on that one. Definitely trying to accept that our successes are something that we work for, right? Like something as simple as like, not simple, but like my education, for example, like I fought like for my own education, right? Like making sure I'm studying, getting my good grades, and just really trying my best in order to like get my degree, right? Obviously the experience is different for each and every person, but my experience, I really struggled, right? And that's like the God honest truth. Like I struggled to like get the motivation sometimes to even want to get an education, but it's like I don't feel like if I don't get the education, then I'm literally like disgracing my whole family. Like they literally came here for a better life for themselves, for their families, their future families, right? And it's like, if I don't do this one thing that I like work so hard for, like, is it even worth it? Like, am I even doing anything right? Totally feel you. That went deep for a second. What about you?
I constantly feel it every day. Like, it's just like whenever I wake up, it's just like, what am I going to do today? Like, is it anything? Because, like, for me, being the youngest, I kind of have to balance making sure everything is clean in the house, making sure there's food on the table, making sure my grades are up, making sure I have a job, and making sure I help my mom like time to time. So balancing all that, being a student as well, is a little hard. So sometimes I always feel like, is it like whatever I'm doing, is it enough to please my mom? Is it enough to like make her think that like, yeah, I'm doing a lot? I know like she cares a lot sometimes. It's just like my self-thoughts are like really dark that I just don't say anything to her. I just like to be alone. And then sometimes she'll come poke me. She's like, why are you alone? Why is your face like that? I was like, my face is fine. Just leave me alone. But then sometimes she doesn't understand that like when I need to be alone and when I don't. But it's just that feeling of like self-doubt is like always there for me ever since like I started, ever since I got my first job, ever since I started, high school. It's just like a little hard. And, like, I would say, like, my brother, even though he doesn't really help around the house, I would say he's emotionally very helpful. Like, sometimes he'll tell me, you can do it, it's fine, it's whatever, like, you can do it, just take your time and do it, and mom will understand. And, like, now I can see, like, my mom, like, she slowly understands. That's why whenever she's home, I don't do anything because she's home. But when she's not home, I actually, like, make sure there's food for her, make sure, like, everything's clean. But it's kind of hard to, like, keep my room clean because, like...
the real struggle.
Yeah, that's a really struggle because, like, I was always told that if your space is clean, your mind is clean and you can do other things. But it's a little hard, having like those self-doubt, like I can't do anything, but then my room is a mess.
Yeah, you don't get the motivation.
Yeah,
And see,
motivation
actually,
is hard.
something that I want to pick out of that, like, is mental health. Mental health is, like, obviously this new thing, so taboo. Oh my god, right? But yeah, like, because I feel like mental health is just becoming a thing now. When, like, obviously we have, like, our middle-aged community that, like, maybe immigrated here, or some are born here too, like, they kind of understand, but then our older, more senior community members, they don't quite get it.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's, like, a very new thing where it's, like, now we have terms for all these different things, like, oh, if you feel upset, and you're feeling, like, kind of jittery, and, like, you don't feel like yourself, like, there's different diagnosis and different, like, symptoms, and you can classify those into different, like, mental health issues, right? And these are new things that are coming up because now we have, like, names for each of them, you know what I mean? Back there and back then, it's like, just get over it, like, what's wrong with you? Just chill, like, you're just having a bad day, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just get back to it. You have to go, like, rein in the cows and whatever from the farm. Anyways, like, next day, just continue on with life, right?
Yeah.
But being here, yeah, like, definitely, like, I'm always hitting my head. There's definitely, like, we've had multiple episodes about mental health. You should check those out. But it, like, having to explain the differences and what the whole concept is, the issues, and, like, how to be culturally sensitive and emotionally sensitive, and, like, especially to kids, and, like, how to, it's just a whole thing. And a different can of worms that you can watch us talk about on other episodes, because we talk about it quite a lot. But just to wrap up that whole thing that I was talking about with survivor guilt, like, wondering if we truly deserve the things that we work for, and, like, the recognition that we get, even though we know, like, our community, either, like, back home or, like, our parents even, like, suffered, and, like, they were oppressed, and, like, they had to go through their own struggles, and go through, like, poverty, and, like, just having to get on their own 2 feet in, like, this new country and gain their independence. Yeah, there's definitely survivor guilt out here. That's a real thing. And I'm just saying, parents, like, come on, like, just be a little bit more understanding, you know what I mean? Like, they obviously were in their survival modes, but we also have our different type of survival that we have to go through. Like, getting through high school, I feel like, is a big thing. Like, if you can survive high school, like, with all that cattiness and turn out okay, like, good on you, right? Like, oh my god, like, I feel like that's, like, a make or break, like, for a lot of people.
When it comes to high school, I feel like some kids, like, they get so, like, they get so, like, fearful to fit in that they end up turning to the wrong crowd.
Oh yeah.
And, like, their
I've
parents
witnessed that.
Yeah, I witnessed that so much, and, like, their parents just, like, blame it on them that it's their fault, like, it's a kid's fault. I mean, like, I know, like, some, like, not all parents do it. It's just, like, I've seen it, like, even in grade 12, I had, like, you know, like, little grade 8s that, like, I knew because, like, I either coached volleyball, or, like, I knew them because, like, I used to, like, do outside community work with some of them. Mm-hmm. But then seeing how they, like, are now, it's just very concerning, because, like, just for them to fit in, they're doing things that they shouldn't be doing at their age, which is, like, wow. When I was at that age, I was watching cultural stuff. I was actually reading books. I was going outside. It's just, like, how, like, if you're like born in, like, the 90s and the 2000s, you have seen the world change, and, like, each year there's, like, a new aspect, a new thing that comes. Like, say, like, this year was, like, or 2 years ago was, like, TikTok. TikTok's a new thing. Like, if people, like, are on TikTok left, right, and center, and, like, everything is just, like, off TikTok if you want to be famous. TikTok's the way to go. No more Instagram, no more Snapchat, no more Facebook. Facebook is not even a thing anymore sometimes.
Yeah, I use Facebook though still.
I do too.
This is why I feel like I'm a little bit off on, like, the other end of youth, whereas, like, because, like, I'm getting older too. I just feel like I'm 30 now. But, like, I honestly feel a lot older sometimes, even sitting next to you guys. Like, you guys are, like, hip and young and know everything that's popping, and I'm just like, what the hell? I don't have TikTok. Like, I don't understand it. Why? Like, but oh my gosh, yeah, there's so many different things, and I guess just to wrap this whole thing up, there's so many things that we go through, us at homes or watching us on our YouTube channel as well. Remember, you can tune into Viti Vibes every Thursday at 10 p.m. and Sundays at 4:30 p.m. and also subscribe and share our videos on our YouTube channel, which is Viti Vibes. Well, see you all next week.
Thank you, Shannon. Khalsa College Reunion 2023 is taking place in July of 2023 in Fiji. If you'd like to meet your classmates and enjoy the day, then you should go onto the Facebook page at Khalsa Reunion 2023 and sign up, or call Camila Singh at 604-537-5123 for further information. Pink Shirt Day is on February 23rd, the last Wednesday of the month. Wear a pink shirt on that day to send a strong message that bullying won't be tolerated. February is also known as Burn Awareness Month. Do you know that most fires start in the kitchen while people are cooking? So always stay in the kitchen while you're cooking to avoid kitchen fires. On another note, Kids Play Foundation is hosting an International Students and Foreign Workers Forum at Royal Banquet Hall on Sunday, February 23rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. They will be presenting scholarships worth $2,500 and other prizes. For more information, please call 778-320-6540. If you have any announcements you'd like to let our youth know and be aware of, you can email it to my email, which is rebecca.singh8@icloud.com, or Pranay's, which is pranayssharma8714@gmail.com. I have run out of time today, and I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I do bringing it to you. Don't forget to watch Viti Vibes every Thursday at 10 p.m. and again on Sundays at 4:30 p.m. This show only airs on Shaw, so for whatever reason, if you don't have Shaw, we will upload all our shows onto our social media such as Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. No show is complete without sponsors from our community, so we are looking for sponsors to sponsor this show. For sponsorship, please call Camila at 604-537-5123. And for in-studio guests, please call Shannon Permal. All of our shows are uploaded on YouTube under Viti Vibes Show. And before I leave, I will leave you with these thoughts. Don't let small minds shrink your big dreams. From an unknown author. Well, I'm your host, Rebecca Singh, signing off. Remember to keep healthy and keep well, and thanks for spending a part of your day with me. See you next week.
Let's go. All out of state, so the day they never seen that. Ain't fat, double shut your fingers, then you lean back. All out of state, so the day